What's up, guys? It's Dubzz, and I'm using my camcorder now. I've had it for a while, and I didn't really want to use it because I didn't feel like the quality was good enough, but I tweaked with it a little bit, got the lighting decent. I still need to get a different light source. I have it all set up, cool backdrop, so I'm gonna remake this video because I've already made it. I made it on my phone like I've been doing, but it got corrupted and got deleted, and it was like 20 minutes long. So I felt like instead of just trying to get with my phone and risking it, I'll just do it on my camcorder, knowing that it's gonna work because I've recorded stuff here before. And so the video I wanted to make today was I wanted to go through. I grabbed 10 movies out of my Blu-ray collection, and I wanted to all of them either left me when the credits started rolling, left me just sitting there, mouth open, or just thinking, or shocked, stuff like that, or just the whole movie I was happy or I was sad. Just movies that left me feeling a certain way or made me feel a certain way throughout. I just went through and grabbed a bunch that stood out to me. I went through all of them. A lot of these are really random. A lot of these are my top 5 movies. Some of them aren't, but they still stood out to me, and I enjoy watching them. So I don't have them in really any order. I kind of put them like the horror movies first, and then there's one, I think you would call it like a drama, some more drama, and ends in like sci-fi. Kind of. Yeah, so there's not really any order. So the first one I wanted to talk about was Paranormal Activity. I remember watching this back when I was like 12 or 13 or 11. I don't know how old I was. My friend, my best friend at the time, his parents rented this at Blockbuster. And so it was me, him, my sister, his sister, and his little brother, and I think my mom. And at the time, this was the first movie that I'd seen that was shot in this type. And just the whole movie, we were so on edge, we were so scared. And then when the credits were about to roll, when Katie kills Mika and then goes upstairs, and we watched the alternate ending where she kills herself, like where she slits her throat, was just left me. It was just, I still watch this movie like once a year, twice a year. A lot of people don't like this franchise of movies, but these are some of my favorite movies. There's one or two of them that I can just skip over when I'm watching them all. Like the second one, my favorites are the first, the third, the fourth is okay, the marked ones, which is the fifth one, and then I don't really like the last one, but I can watch it because it answers a lot of questions that we have throughout the series, and we finally get to see Toby, kind of. But yeah, Paranormal Activity. A lot of people don't like this movie. I love that movie. The next one I have is The Lords of Salem. It's a Rob Zombie film. This is a steelbook. Doesn't really matter. I remember I picked this up, I think at Target. It was on sale for like $5 or something. And, I was like, I don't have any steelbooks, so I might as well pick it up. Didn't really know what it was about. Kind of assumed it was about witches, because it was Salem and she looks creepy. But it's super intense movie. Like the whole movie, I felt such a weird feeling in my body. Like I shouldn't be watching this movie. Like I was seeing things that just like there's scenes where she is being followed, or there's people in her house that she doesn't see but we see, or she does see them and a bunch of crazy shit happens to her. Like there's scenes where there's like these ladies at the end like pulling out her organs, and just a bunch of weird shit. Just witch movies always make me feel really weird, like I shouldn't be watching them, like it's off limits type shit or something. But it's I watch this every once in a while. I don't watch it that much just because it always leaves me like feeling like dirty and just But Lords of Salem. I don't think a lot of people have seen this. It's probably one of Rob Zombie's lesser watched films. And then one of my favorite movies, top 10, The Autopsy of Jane Doe. This has Emil Hirsch and Brian Cox. They play father and son who are like the morticians. Well, the dad's the mortician and the son's like in training, kind of. And so they own a mortuary, funeral home, funeral parlor, whatever. And one day they're about to leave. It's like midnight, and the captain comes in, and he has Jane Doe. Because they don't know where she came from, who she is. And so they're like, oh, we need her autopsy by the morning, so if you could, just should be pretty easy, just check it out and let me know. So they start doing it. There's nothing wrong with her. She doesn't even have like rigor mortis or what do they say, like validity or something, where her bones and body's all stiff because all the acid. But she's just like she's asleep or something, but her eyes are open. But they start cutting her open. They start finding a bunch of weird shit, and a bunch of crazy stuff starts happening to them. I don't really want to spoil it because I'm sure a lot of you haven't seen this, but the whole movie is just super intense because it's all in one location, and I always love movies that are shot in one location, especially if they're good. You know it's a good movie if they are able to just do it in one spot and keep you entertained all the way to the end. The ending left me like, fuck. But great movie. Hopefully, maybe one day we'll get a prequel to this on how Jane Doe became who she is. Because if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But great movie. I guess it's another witch movie, along with Lords of Salem. And then next I have Nocturnal Animals. I didn't see this in theaters, and I didn't get it right away when it came out on Blu-ray. I was kind of skeptical. I didn't really know what it was about. But then I saw a couple reviews about it, non-spoiler reviews though, and I was like, okay, Jake Gyllenhaal, he's my favorite actor right now. Amy Adams, she's alright, but watching this movie, there was some scenes where I was just like breathless. It felt so intense. Like there's a scene where, so it's Amy Adams, she's like a famous, like she owns a gallery and she has like people show art there, and she has an ex-husband, Jake Gyllenhaal, and he's a writer. And so one day he sends her a book, or like a manuscript for a book that he just wrote, dedicated to her, called Nocturnal Animals. And she starts reading it, and so we're seeing the story through her eyes, like she's, we're just going into her brain and she's seeing it. And it's father, son, or father, daughter, and wife driving, I think, to their new home or something, or vacation, and they get driven off the road by some like crazy guys. Aaron Taylor Johnson, does a fantastic job in this movie. He's great in this. He's really creepy and really gross, but he's really good. I like to see him out of different movies than he's usually doing. But he kidnaps the wife and daughter. But it's not like he kills the guy or knocks the guy out. The dude's standing there, and just that scene is so intense because like all the sound goes out, and he's just standing there breathless, doesn't know what to do, and he's just watching his daughter and wife being taken away in his car. And it's just an intense movie. Michael Shannon as the cop that helps him try to find the guys is just this whole movie. I don't even really know what to say. It's the opening scene with the naked women, fat naked women. It's that's a movie. I hope to see more from Tom Ford. Next I have one of my favorite movies, Swiss Army Man. I love this movie. It's just so stupid. It's such a good time. It's there's a lot of there's some sad parts. Some parts where I wish wasn't in the movie, like when Paul Dano ends up getting back to civilization off his island with Daniel Radcliffe, and Daniel Radcliffe is just because throughout the movie he starts acting more alive and not so much a dead body, but then once he gets back he's just a dead body and no one believes him, and we find out the reason why he's where he was, and he's just like a weirdo. But it's up to that point I really like it, but then after that all that passes in the ending scene. Just the movie is fantastic. Daniel Radcliffe and Paul Dano are amazing in this movie, especially Daniel Radcliffe, because he's playing a farting corpse. But the farting corpse aspect of this movie is what I think drove the movie. It's amazing, and the soundtrack. It's like a cappella. There's there's a couple instruments, of course, but most of it's just a bunch of people singing with their voices, making the beats, this is a really good movie. I hope to see more from this group because it's a film by Daniels. The two directors were both named Daniel Radcliffe and Paul Dano. So I hope to see more from the two directors because this movie was great. It was really good. I like to see Daniel Radcliffe and other stuff because I want him to break his Harry Potter role, because I know a lot of people when they see him they're just like, oh, Harry Potter's in this, Harry Potter's in that. I'm one of those people, but I feel like Ron will always be Ron. Hermione, she's breaking out. She's been in a bunch of stuff. She's been in a Disney movie as Belle. But I like a lot of stuff he's in. Horns, Woman in Black, Imperium. So, really good movie. Swiss Army Man. Next is probably one of my top 3 movies. Because I'm not too good at pinpointing my top 1, 2, and 3. So So this is in there somewhere. I don't know what number it is, but Prisoners is from the first time I saw it. I can watch it right now. It's been like my 20th time. It's always such a rush, and it's always such a great movie. My favorite character in this movie, the favorite part for me of this movie, is Jake Gyllenhaal. His detective Loki character is just awesome. He's super badass. You know, he gets the shit done. You know, he just a bunch of the shit that he has to do is super intense. Like the one scene where he gets the guy who he thinks might have done it, who might have been in cahoodles with Paul Dano's character, and he takes him in, and somehow he gets his gun, or one of the cops' guns, and kills himself. And Jake Gyllenhaal is just so distraught because of that, and he goes back to his desk and just destroys his desk and is just sitting there with his head in his hands. Just that scene is just so awesome. I love that scene. But Hugh Jackman, he's also great. You know, you can feel his pain and sadness trying to get his daughter back. You know, who's the other guy in this? Terrence Howard. You know, he's all right. You know, what's her name? Viola Davis. She always gives one hell of a performance. You know, she's great in this. Paul Dano as the guy, he's awesome. He always plays a good special person with disabilities. He's awesome in this movie. If you haven't seen Prisoners, I don't know. It's one of those movies. It's fantastic. And it's Dennis Villeneuve. I think that's how you say his last name. But the next one I have is also by him. Enemy. Also Jake Gyllenhaal, my favorite actor. This movie, I didn't see it in theaters. I didn't see it when it came out on Blu-ray. It was out like what year? Like 2014. I didn't get it till like 6 months ago. It's 5 months ago, but it was such a weird movie. I'll do a quick. Jake Gyllenhaal is a teacher. Really weird, like, you know, no friends. One day he gets a recommendation from a coworker who recommends him a movie. So he's like, all right. So he picks up the movie, and while watching it, he sees a guy who looks exactly like him. And so he goes out and looks him up and finds out his name, finds out where he lives, you know, all this shit. And he goes to his place of business, like a studio place, and the security guard's like, oh, hey, what's up? I forget his name. Like, hey, what's up, man? How you been? And he's just, you know, because he thinks he's him, and he just goes along with it. You know, he gets, like, his address somehow, like, off a piece of mail that he gives him, goes to his house, calls the phone, and his wife, the other guy's wife, picks up, and she's like, what's up? And he's like, I'm trying to get, you know, this guy. And she's like, what? Why are you calling from a payphone? And he's just, like, because she thinks he's him. It's just a bunch of intense shit happens, and it has probably the weirdest, I don't even want to say twist, like the weirdest ending to a movie I've ever seen. Like, if you haven't seen it, I'm sure a lot of you haven't, again, watch it. I don't want to spoil it. I might do a spoiler review of this movie, because it's a weird-ass movie, but it's also really good. So, Enemy. So this movie was, when I first saw it, Mad Max Fury Road, when I first saw it, I saw it in theaters with my dad. It was over, I was like, that was good, alright. There was a couple things I didn't like, but once I got home and I had it on Blu-ray, it's amazing. It's one of my favorite movies. I don't know what it was about watching it the second time. I think the one thing that killed it for me was how whenever Max would move, it would be all like super quick and just like, I know because he's supposed to be super strong and he has like high octane blood or whatever, but that just killed it for me in the theaters. But having it at home, it was, you know, Charlize Theron, Tom Hardy, and all the girls are amazing. What's his name? I forget his name. The main guy. Fuck. What's his name? And Morton Joe. Yeah, he's awesome. And the War Boys are all a great part. You know, what's his name? He was Beast. You know what I'm talking about. The guy who plays the main War Boy. Just, this movie's awesome. The whole movie just has me on the edge of my seat. It has me super, like, smiling just because it's such a pretty movie with the colors and all the action scenes. But still one of my favorite movies. I can watch it. I think when I got on Blu-ray, I watched it like 5 times in a row. Like, that first day, my wife hated me. Because I was like, let's watch it again. Let's watch it again. Sadly, I didn't get the... I think they put out a Blu-ray that had like a black and white version of it. Or like a sepia version. Which I think would have been cool. But it would have took away from the awesome colors in this movie. Because they're out in the middle of the desert. And there's huge like dust clouds. And huge, you know, the storm scene when they're chasing her is awesome. But Mad Max. Never seen the originals, but I love this one. Dropped a movie. Ugh. So this is probably, again, my top 3. Prometheus. And I know a lot of you, if the 5 people that are going to watch this are probably going to hate me, this is my favorite movie in the Alien franchise. Don't kill me. I know a lot of you are going to be like, what the fuck? Have you seen Alien or Aliens? Like, yes, I have. You know, it goes Prometheus, Alien, the original, Aliens, and then Alien Covenant. No, I say Prometheus, Alien, Covenant, Aliens. This movie, I just like it, even though it has no xenomorphs in it. You know, it has none of the main characters. Maybe Wayland, but it's a different Wayland, so it doesn't even count. I just love all the aspects of the creators and all the questions it gives us, you know, about where they came from, where we came from. David's a fantastic addition to this franchise. You know, I love him in Covenant. Just, it's a great movie. It's such a good movie. I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, what the hell? Because I left with so many questions. There's just a lot of scenes and a lot of small things. I'm like, what the hell? But every time I watch the original Alien, I always think, imagine being someone who saw that movie back when it came out in the 70s and seeing that big, huge, they call him the space jockey, sitting in the ship, you know, and he has his chest broken out, and they just have like a long scene looking at his face. And that's the only thing we see. But they never go back and they never talk about it. And at first, I bet when they watch it, they're like, that's a weird looking alien. Like, I'm excited to see more aliens, you know, because he has his bone. It looks like his bones, but we find out it's a suit. And he has, like, it looks like an elephant tusk or trunk. And then in this one, they find the exact same type of body. So I can imagine someone who saw the original and then watching this, like, oh shit, you know, that's from the original, the space jockey. We get to find out more about them. And when they take off, they figure out it's a helmet that he has. And take his helmet off and see his head. That was probably, for me, I was like, oh shit. But I can't imagine waiting 40 years and then realizing that it was men, well, engineers, the people who made us, underneath that helmet. If they would have just popped that helmet off, they probably would have saw bones, but just, such a good movie. I might watch this today. I love this movie. And then my last movie that, I kept it for last, because it makes me sad. I think that's, Manchester by the Sea. If there's a little shadow, I have my mic, and the light's there, and it's hitting the mic. Manchester by the Sea. I didn't see this in theaters. I didn't watch it when it came out. I think I saw it like 2-3 months after they gave him the Oscar for the Best Actor. I saw it on like Amazon Video, because I have Amazon Prime, and I saw it. I was like, might as well. You know, he won an Oscar. Probably decent. Fantastic movie. Such an emotional movie. Makes me cry every time I watch it. Like, Casey Affleck kills it in this. The movie he starts, you know, he's really withdrawn from everyone, no emotions. You're like, what the hell, what a dick. Like why is he like that? So through the movie, you know, he gets the custody of his 16-year-old nephew because his brother passes away. And so through the flashbacks, we see why he's like that and what's happened in his life to make him so withdrawn from everyone. And just those flashback scenes and seeing the way he is and people talking to him. And like, before we see flashbacks, there's scenes where he goes back to the town where the nephew lives. That's where he was from. And you see people like, is that him? That's what's his name? I forget his name. Something, you know, like, that's him? That's the guy? First I thought maybe he was like a famous, like a celebrity or something. Like he did something that was awesome. But through it, you start realizing that people don't like him. Like there's a scene at the beginning where he goes to pick the kid up as his hockey practice, and the coach and all the kids are like, dude, that's him, oh my god. And they're like, that's him? Real him? You know, so I'm like, oh shit, famous. But then he goes to ask about a job, and while he's asking for a job, a lady in the other room, you know, we see it from her perspective, listening to him talking, and she's just like, you know, sounds interested in like what he's talking about. And I'm like, oh shit, you know, maybe she likes him. Goes out there and she's like, don't ever let him come back in here ever again, because she doesn't like him. So we find out slowly like what happened, and it's just a gut-wrenching movie, fantastic movie. I love to see more of Casey Affleck and I need to start watching more of Kenneth Lonergan's movies. I don't think I've seen any. If I have, I don't know what they're called. You know, Manchester by the Sea. Probably gonna watch this one today too. It's a fantastic movie. Can't recommend this enough if you want to have a good cry and just watch a good movie. You know, for it being an Amazon original, it's fantastic. But anyway, so those are my 10, you know, just 10 movies I have that leave me feeling a certain way or I really enjoyed for a certain reason. So if you guys want to see more videos about my top 10 this, or my least favorite this, or stuff like that, or just whatever you want to see, let me know. Alright guys, peace.